Yo, yo, yo. Welcome into another edition of the Boys Talking Some Ball.
Well,
College football playoff round one edition. Transfer portal news edition. DJ Lagway in the portal, baby, out of there. Along with about 4 or 5 other Gators. A couple just announced, just like in the last couple of minutes, too.
yeah, I saw Aiden Mizell as one of them.
Yep. I figured there'd be some exodus.
The world we live in.
Yeah. Obviously, we'll get into the game breakdowns here in a little bit. We'll just talk a little portal news. DJ Lagway obviously enters the portal. I mean, there's a couple ways to look at it. How do I feel as a Gator fan? It's bittersweet because you wanted DJ to come in with all this high praise. He's a 5-star. He's one of the highest gets that we got at the quarterback position as a recruit in probably the last 20 years or if ever. But it just didn't materialize, didn't pan out. Due to injury, due to you name it, and just it is what it is. So
It sounds like it could be a little bit of anything because you don't know what reports you don't know what reports to believe, and you see the report saying that he went in and talked to Summerall and they didn't see eye to eye, and I guess they challenged him and whatever, and it makes it sound like DJ is lazy and doesn't want to work and earn his spot. But like I said, you really don't know what the conversation was.
And that's the thing. Here's the point. I guarantee you, Summerall, if DJ went in there and said, "Hey, I want to be the starter," he's probably like, "Excellent. We want you to be the starter,
yeah.
but we're going to bring in a quarterback."
100%, and you can't be mad at him for that.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So if that's where I wouldn't call DJ lazy or whatever. He's been hurt. Dealing with injuries, this, that, and the whatever. But if you're a coach at any college, across the country, and whoever you got, you're bringing in a freshman quarterback recruit, or you're hitting the portal now. Here's what it is.
Here's the part you have to say out loud that a lot of people, I think people who don't play sports, don't understand. It's the coach's job to replace you.
Exactly.
In a sense, and when I say replace you is, if I could upgrade at every position, I'm going to upgrade at every position. And it's just, if that means transfer portal or freshman's better than you, it's whatever. And it's just, I think the mentality athletes have to have. And in today's sports, you have to treat it like a business. And you have to understand that regardless if you're Ruben Bain or Trinidad Chambliss or Fernando Mendoza, you go down the list, those coaches are still trying to find people to replace you. And they want to upgrade at every position. But I think people look at it as, oh man, you're turning your back on them and this and that. But it's like the situation Miami's going to be in. Miami and Florida State are going to be in the same position this offseason, upgrading or replacing a quarterback. Mm-hmm. And it's on those head coaches. That's their job. Like you say, Miami has 3 young guys. Deron Coleman's coming in. They had Luke Nickel and Judd Anderson on the roster. It's his job to bring in the best person. If those 3 guys Emery's still on the roster. If Emery looked good and he fulfilled what Mario wanted, Emory Williams would have been the starter this year. So, of course, you're going to hear the names of Sam Levitt, even DJ or Sorsby from Cincinnati, those names being thrown out there to be the next Miami quarterback. It's going to be the same thing for Florida. If I'm Florida, I'm going after a Sam Levitt. I'm going after a Sorsby. You're going after all of these guys, even the kid from the old Georgia Tech quarterback that could come in right away and run Faulkner's system. Fano or whatever it is.
Yeah, Philo's going to be a lock. He's coming in for sure.
Yeah, so that's like you said, I think people get up in arms when they hear that, but that's just what it is. And now the kids have the right to go and make more money. And like the part I hate is I don't want to see like TJ Finley going to the 7th school.
Yeah, that shit right there is dumb as hell. Seeing that,
well, that's the thing.
But he's a one-off. He's a one-off. I haven't seen anybody else in college football career since they started this going for his 28th school, every
Well,
other year he's in the
Bear
Florida.
Alexander was doing that for a little bit. I mean, there are guys that are probably just not noteworthy like a TJ Finley or a Bear Alexander, but it's annoying. Like you say, you don't want to fault the kids for going out and getting a better opportunity or bigger bag, or you don't fault the coaches for bringing in a better caliber athlete at that position or player. But there still has to be some kind of stopgap of we don't need guys going to 6, 7, 8, 9 schools. Like two, you should be able to do two at max, unless there's a coaching change in my opinion. And then you got to throw in. I don't know if you saw the interview with Trinidad Chambliss. I mean, that
Mhm.
would be this stock answer. I have to do what's best for me, and I have to
Mhm.
weigh all options. And it's
Yeah,
sad that's where
it was
we're
the
at
same
now.
it was the same thing it was the same thing when RG3 was talking to Marcel Reed a couple last
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
He's
What was he supposed to say?
yeah, he's like, "If Miami offers you $4 million, what are you gonna do?" "I'm gonna go talk to my parents about that."
Yeah,
That means,
like, I
yeah,
can't be mad at him.
that's a heavy interest of like, "Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm going to
Yeah,
take
I
$4 million."
mean, 4 million. Like I know that's not NFL money, but that's still life changing money in a sense to where there's
Well,
no guarantee
that's an
he could.
easy 1 year that's an easy 1 year, bag, and
Yeah,
that's
and there's no
basically what the
guarantee he
problem.
can make it to the NFL.
Right. So going back to the DJ thing is like, if Summerall goes in there and basically like, yeah, we want you to be here.
Mhm.
We want to continue your development and we want you to be a Gator, but I'm not going to say you're the quarterback and we're not bringing anybody else in.
100%. I can't
That'd
blame
be
him for
dumb.
that.
That'd be dumb as hell. And then so,
After watching the tape this season.
yeah, exactly. He was a turnover machine. He was terrible this
Mhm.
year. He didn't win us any games, he lost us a couple games,
But
so
here's the thing that baffles me at times, and I know you have this same thought. It's like, when does it turn into when is it where it's a thin line between running and competing. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah,
Because
that's what I was gonna ask you. Is he running right now?
I it's hard to say
That's
because
what I said.
when you don't know the full situation, you don't know the full scope of what happened with Billy, what promises were made.
Yeah, well, I think
Um,
part of that too is like I think he was developed crappily by
yeah,
this previous
yeah,
staff,
yeah,
so
yeah.
maybe if you get new hands on him and he's healthy, DJ can't be good. I really do. I
Yeah,
really think he could be a good quarterback,
he just needs reps, just like
Yeah.
Arch. They need
Well, like I say,
reps.
the other thing too is he needs to be healthy. Like it,
Yep.
in my opinion, the other part about this whole deal is you're rolling the dice with this guy, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we know we used to mess around with Freddie T. Talk about, dude, Mr.
Right,
Glass.
Fred. Yeah,
This guy is like,
yeah.
old hamstring, torn Achilles,
It's
shoulder surgery, rotator cuff,
yeah. It's crazy, man. Because even the story about Sam Levitt, where he didn't show up to the banquet and
right,
he's
right.
basically gone, and this is
Yeah,
like,
he just straight ghosted them boys. Like,
well, I mean, Jaden Daniels did the same thing. Remember when they were raiding his locker at ASU before he went to LSU, and
yeah.
it worked out for him. And it's just, I guess, as old heads, we look at it differently. Where
Well,
this new generation
there's
is,
some sort of like you should have some sort of etiquette in class,
yeah, I
like
agree. I
and
agree.
that's where like you don't have just a little bit, just a
Yeah.
little bit, be a little bit
Show up to the
graceful.
banquet. I think you show up to the banquet and you just end on a high note, but
Well, it's kind of like even switching gears. It's kind of like Pavia, man. Like he's been one of the most likable and unlikable guys the whole
all
college
in the
football season.
same breath.
And
Yeah.
then you literally maybe you should have won the Heisman, but then you do the most classless thing right
Yeah.
after the. It's like, come on, dude,
Yeah.
you want to be the villain? So he's playing the villain role. It's like
Yeah.
how can you get those casuals to like want to root for you when you're
Exactly.
a
I
dick?
think that's just kind of this day and age where, like you say, everybody wants to be the villain. They want to play the villain role. They want to be
Yeah,
Heath
until
Ledger as the Joker
until
until
yeah.
people start calling you the villain. Then they play the victim, and it's just like you can't have it every way possible. And like you say, it's a thin line between the villain, the victim, and competing. Which one do
Yeah.
you want to be?
Yeah, Haiti calls
I
that. Hades
compete.
came up with a great phrase for that. It's called the Victim Olympics. And
Yeah, for
how do you want
that's it's a good way to put it. It is like you don't want to be that hater or that person to be like, oh, don't go get your money, don't go, to a better situation. But it's like you say, it's how you handle it. Do you
Yeah,
stand up and just be like, hey man, this is not working out for me. Thank you to Gator Nation. You know, I came
And
in, I thought I was going to be the guy, but
yeah.
you know,
Well, here's the other way too. Dave and I quickly talked about it yesterday when it broke at work, and this is the other way to look at it as well. Um, how many big time, like let's say DJ stays, right? So he's on the
mhm,
roster, but he tells Summerall's like, we're bringing in a quarterback, and let's just say well, who knows who's going to bring in? DJ doesn't know, and Summerall doesn't know. But then let's just say we do get Sam Levitt. But the question is Sam Levitt going to want to come to Florida knowing that DJ's there?
yeah,
So you're scaring off maybe some of these high level guys to where it's like, well, you're going to settle for maybe
yeah,
a
because they don't want
mid-tier
to
guy.
compete. They don't want to
Exactly.
compete. Yeah,
That's
they
what I'm
don't
saying.
want
These guys want the job. And I totally understand that part too.
yeah,
When you're considered a high level commodity,
yeah.
but
But
again, so
here's the
that's where it's like, I don't know.
here's the crappy part though. It's like I feel like that's the only position where guys feel like they shouldn't have to compete, whereas all other guys,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, that all 21 other guys have to
Yeah.
compete. Like at left tackle, you got to compete. Corner, you got to compete. Center,
Right.
D tackle, like all these positions, and it's just like then you look at the situation with Bryce Underwood. Bryce Underwood could be leaving Michigan just for the bag. That's a whole totally different situation because of what's going on up there.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
a yeah, shitstorm going on up in
Yeah.
Ann Arbor.
Oh,
But at the
totally
same
so.
time, it's like you felt like this kid just went to Michigan for the bad with the Oracle and Portnoy money, but now he's
Mhm.
talking about leaving and he could go to LSU. But then who's to say another team could just throw some money out there and be like, we'll give more than LSU. So it's like it's so many different angles to look at it, and which one is the right one, we really don't know.
Yeah, no, again, that's just the nature of the beast right now. And
Yeah.
like I say, it's put it this way, guys like Mizell and Jordan Castell, like,
Hmm.
you guys didn't perform anyways. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna replace you with somebody in the portal and let's let some youth play. So
Yeah.
hopefully, like I say, the number one guy, there's
Jaden Ball.
there's five guys that is like are have to be locks. Jaden Ball, which is kind of scary. Like I heard something like
Yeah, I
that
did too.
he was locked. He was locked in,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden yesterday he deleted everything off social. So now I'm like, okay, great. You know what that
Hey,
means?
it could be a ploy to get more money.
Well, exactly. I've heard he's already locked in. But
Yeah.
again, maybe there's a clause. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
But basically, Ball's got to be there. Dallas Wilson's got to be there. VB3's got to be there, and then Miles Graham's got to be there. Those are like the guys that those have got to be your guys that you retain. And if you keep those guys in tow, then all right. Like I say, you're gonna have a pretty because you're gonna get a quarterback. And hell, I'll take the Aaron Philo kid, because
Yeah.
he's obviously played well under Faulkner's system, played
Yeah.
well in times when he came in for Haynes King. Hell, he broke Trevor Lawrence's all-time passer, stats in the state of Georgia in high school football. So, the guy can throw it. So, and hell, Trammell with a whole offseason, let Trammell work, so
Where
we're going to get somebody.
Yeah, where you don't want to be, like you said, five guys. You want that nucleus. And I think
Right.
that's the problem that's going on in Tallahassee is after that super nucleus they had
Right.
with Jordan Travis and Braden Fisk and Jared Verse and Bethune and those guys, that was like the ultimate nucleus that just didn't happen. I mean, work out, in the long run to get in the playoff and the national championship. But if they get a group like that, which I think Mike doesn't have, and that's the problem. They don't have those guys. Whereas like Miami has a Ruben Bain, Mao
Right.
Noah, and guys like that. Now, what is after this season? Who's going to be that new nucleus down in Coral Gables to lead the team? And like you say, if Florida could keep those five guys, I think they'll be fine. You're going to get a quarterback in. The problem is, I think for a lot of these teams and why play looks so sloppy is we got too many quarterbacks jumping from place to place to place. And these guys just got to stay. And that's just why the product is looking so bad, in my opinion. And then why these guys aren't looking good in the NFL is you're not having time to develop. And then, but at the same time, can I blame them if a Dante Moore all of a sudden says, I'm going to be a first round pick? I'm going to go to the NFL. And he hasn't lit the world on fire this year at Oregon. And he's only had what, maybe 14, 15 starts between UCLA and Oregon, and a year in between where he didn't play, and then a team in the NFL is going to take him in the top 15. It's like you almost got to take it. But then again, if he looks like trash in the NFL, it's because he doesn't have time. Whereas a guy like Arch is in a totally different situation where he doesn't need the money. He doesn't have to rush to the NFL, and he's coming back to Texas one more year. And I think that one more year at Texas will help him a lot, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think, like I say, he's gonna a whole another offseason. Sark, offense, fits him well. He played really well down the stretch. He played really well in spots this season.
It really turned on the last 4 weeks, like you said.
Yeah, but again, like I say, there's going to be a lot of names that are going to hit the portal in the next 2 weeks, and it's going to be a ton.
God, yes.
There's going to be a lot of major, like, holy crap, this guy's leaving. Whoa, what the there's going to be a lot of that, and until we get some sort of parameters and guardrails and all that, it's just going to be like this.
Everyone's favorite team. It's not going to be. It's funny because like the last couple of years, where you would hear fans of other teams making fun of teams or where they're losing guys, and it's like, hey man, that's going to happen to every team. That's going to happen to everyone. Everyone's going to lose guys, especially key contributors where you're like, that didn't make sense for you to leave, but you just don't know what's going on in the back end. And a lot of these guys, I think they're more self-aware than ever to where they know that, hey, I may not have an opportunity to get to the NFL, and if I could go to Colorado and at least making $1 million or $2 million, I could change my whole dynamic of my family. But at the same time, a lot of those guys don't look at it like that. They could be just chasing the bag. They would get jewelry, shoes, cars, or whatever. But we don't know everyone's situation, and it's hard to sit there. Like I told the guys at work, if Google comes to you and say, hey, we need you to start ASAP. We're going to triple your salary. We need you to start tomorrow. Are you going to put a 2 weeks notice in? And it's just like the right thing to do is to possibly put a 2 weeks notice in. But if they're telling you we need you tomorrow and we're tripling your salary and you can work from home.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
that's a hard one to sit there. I don't care how good your morals are. If you're 18, 19, 20, and you're hearing the numbers that they're throwing out there, I can only imagine if you don't have a good core system, back to core, a core system around you, whereas your parents, family, or whoever, and they're telling you, hey, stay the course, it'll work out for you. Or you have those family members, the uncle, like Kawhi Leonard's uncle's like, hey man, go chase that bag, and you're chasing the bag, and then it doesn't either. You could be like a buddy from Oregon that left Tulane, Micah Hughes. You go out to Oregon thinking you're about to be the starter at running back, and you're so far down the depth chart that you're not even playing. In the middle of the season, you already said, I'm out. I'm going to redshirt and I'm out. So there are telltale stories of where it works and where it doesn't work.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's the thing that, like I say, it's one of those where, this is just the nature of the business. It's the nature of doing business in college football.
Just got to get used to it.
And we all pretty much come accustomed to it. We know it's going to happen. You just hope that you're able to retain and pay the guys that you need to pay. And like I say, here's the other part about it too. It's gotten so, financially to where you've got to say, okay, who are you going to pay? Who you're not going to pay, So, because you can't pay them all, and so, it's like, you got to do the Texas Tech syndrome to where, you're going to pony up a lot. And so
push the chips in.
And well, here's the thing. It's done that enough. I guess this will transition into our talk. Is like the games this week is it's done enough to get them into the playoff, so they're there. But if they lose in round, the next weekend, was it a waste? I mean, I would say no to that. But again,
for Texas Tech, I don't think it's a waste. Yeah. If it was Alabama pushing in all the chips,
right,
and they had the highest payroll, and they go out,
because I guess
weekend,
can Texas Tech continuously do this? Is the question? Like, are they going?
No, it's not. It's not. No, it's not sustainable. This is not sustainable. It's going to be. I mean, you saw Troy Aikman, right? The whole thing with Troy Aikman, where he said he funded the NIL for UCLA. Right. And for a particular kid, the kid bounced, didn't send him a thank you letter, didn't say anything. Right. Hey, Troy, I appreciate it, but I got to go over here. And Troy's like, I'm done. Yeah. ROI. This is the funny thing about America.
Yeah, the return on investment, buddy, is where you're like, mother effort. early part about it is how was the return on investment right now for Xavier Lee and Boogie Flynn to the Gator basketball team? We're like,
exactly.
we loaded up money for this. We want to go on a back-to-back run, and
yeah,
our ROI ain't panning out this early part of the season. Now we got a long season to go, but no, exactly. You put in to invest. You want to see something in return, and then, like I said, you get a big FU.
Yeah, we live in a capitalistic society where everyone's making money or wants to make money until certain people are making money, and then, but at the same time, if I'm a donor and I'm putting in $3, $4, $5 million, just say if I'm a Golden Chief or a Bull Gator and I'm putting that kind of money in, what is my return on investment? Just a T-shirt and a hat, say we won a national championship?
Right.
That's the thing. It's different when you're Phil Knight, when that money's just coming in to come in, and he's on the back nine. Let's put it like this. Phil Knight is on the back nine, and he wants to see a championship in Oregon. Like the guy for Texas Tech, at some point, I know it's oil money and the oil business is good right now, but what if the oil business kind of flounders a little bit? Then what? Then he has to pull back and be like, hey, man, I can't donate that $20 million or me and my group because the oil business is not as good as it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, like I say, the flip side of this too, real quick before we get off of it, is think about Tennessee, for example, this past season. How we thought, oh Lord, Tennessee's in deep trouble. They're letting Nico go, even though compare Nico's season to DJ's. They both did not have a good season in their transfer year. We were like,
upgrade. They upgraded.
Like Nico looked terrible, so like DJ looks terrible. So, we're gonna get Joey Aguilar from App State. Like, who the heck is this guy? He went to UCLA for a cup of coffee. And so now you're like, okay, yeah, Aaron Philo, he's the backup at Georgia Tech, and he comes in like, yeah, we upgraded. He runs this offense very efficiently. He throws it down the field, blah, 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 blah. And guess what? Tennessee's probably like, yeah, thank God we made that move, or thank God that move happened. So like we always say, grass isn't always greener on the other side. There's always, problems here and there. You got to adapt in the deal. And like, it is what it is. I think, honestly, I don't have any ill will towards DJ. I want to see him be good.
It just didn't work out.
It didn't work out, whether, for a bevy of reasons, So we've named them all. And like I say, it is what it is. I'm definitely not going as far as our buddy John Stratton says he will win the Heisman in the next 2 years. I'm not going out on that limb. But
it's just, I just think at this point, as fans, you just got to wish them well and just hope that they go wherever they want to go and be happy and just move on. It's kind of like, this is the perfect example. I am so overhearing Jag fans still talk about Jalen Ramsey. It's like, you sound like a bitter ex. Don't be the bitter ex. Just be like, they're no longer here. It's not as bad as it was several months ago.
I was about to say he's way far removed from Mama. Like, it was maybe like a year or two after whatever.
Yeah, but so many people were still talking about
he's on his like third or fourth team now. So it's like
exactly. The local radio station is still bitter about it. This is like, dude, just move on, man. Like, he don't want to be here. They don't want to be here. They move on. You wish them well. And you root for the guys that are coming in, good, bad, or indifferent. If they suck, they suck, but you still root for them. That's just what it is. Like you say, every school is about to have a mass exodus. We're already seeing playoff teams losing guys to the transfer portal.
All right. Well, Friday night is the first game of the CFP round 1. We got a nice doozy of a slobber knocker SEC matchup with the Bama Crimson Tide taking on Boomer Sooner in Norman. It's the Friday night game, baby. It's 1.5 point spread, tight game. The first go round was pretty defensively led. Oklahoma did enough to get out of that one with a win.
I'm really surprised Bama is favored in this game.
Yeah, I think that's just the name, and they're trying to that's Vegas trying to like get the money flowing, because right now it is literally a 50-50 split between people on who they think is going to win. The total's pretty low at 40.5. Who you got, man? You got Bama coming back to get the win this second time around, or are you going Boomer Sooner with that defense?
This is there's a lot of storylines in this game. I mean, the number one storyline was Kalen DeBoer initially, but he came out and said he's staying at Alabama. He was entertaining, I guess, Penn State and the Michigan job, which who's to say if they do lose, he'd still could possibly take the jobs. But all right, let's just stick to the game. But that was a storyline coming into this week. On the Alabama side, you've been seeing reports about Ty Simpson's back. He's saying he hurt his back. How does Ty Simpson play this week? How does that affect him? Going against a defense that's going to be coming at him and hitting him and roughing him up. So offensively for Alabama, I don't know the situation with the running backs. Are the running backs back? I think Riley may be out again. Who knows? Him and Jam Miller. But it all starts up front with the offensive line. The offensive line has to play better for Alabama. They've been kind of suspect the last several weeks, and we thought that was going into the season. That was one of their strong points of their team was their offensive line with Caden Proctor being possibly a top 10 pick. And then defensively, we know defensively both teams are going to show up. They're going to come out and they're going to fly around. They're going to hit people. It comes down to which offense is going to make enough plays. Can Money Mateer make enough plays to get that offense moving? We know he's going to run the football. Can he hit those receivers? Right now, I'm leaning towards OU just because Alabama hasn't looked good the last several weeks. Is Isaiah Horton healthy? We know Ryan Williams, will he show up? We know Bernard will. So can Alabama run the football, protect Ty Simpson, and can they be efficient? Right now, after watching Alabama in the last 3-4 weeks, I don't think they're doing any of those things. So I'm leaning on OU. I think OU is going to win in a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All those categories, and I go back to that game because they played them in the last 4 or 5 weeks. That was their obviously one blemish, besides the getting just wrecked by Georgia 2 weeks ago. The thing that was wild about that game is they outnumbered them by double in that thing. You know, they did what they wanted. They just couldn't get in the paint. Turnovers were a critical factor in that game that basically was, 3 turnovers to none. But I mean, they outgained them by 200 yards. They out first downed them by double digits. They, were more efficient on third down and fourth down. Yeah, the time they won in all categories except the ball game. And they did what they needed to do and score a late touchdown to take the lead in the fourth quarter. But then the defense gave up the field goal, to close it out where Oklahoma took the win.
I think Oklahoma, they don't care what you get between the 20s. They'll give you whatever you need to get between the 20s. Like you said, once time in that paint in the red zone, can you put points on the board?
It's more so why couldn't Bama score more than 21?
I think the defense just locked down.
No, that's what I'm saying. Well, I need to go back to look to see if they missed field goals in that game because
I think the OU defense just kind of locked down. But like you say, just watching them the last couple of weeks where they can't run the football and they're
for sure. I think on the flip side, I think the flip side too is Oklahoma. Everybody's been ripping them like they look like pure trash on offense as well.
For sure.
So if that Bama defense can come to play like they did early in that Georgia game, and they played well for the most part against Auburn, and even they played good. They shut down Mateer and them there. Yep. So I think the atmosphere is going to be great. I think we're in for another game like this. I'm just going to pick Bama to pull it out 23-21 this time around. Just because I like I say, I don't know the Ty Simpson injury. Definitely, if he can't go, that's going to be, or if he's banged up.
He's gonna. I think he's
going to go. He's going to go. But what I'm saying is, if you knock him out, like hell. Oklahoma could knock his ass out of the game too. So that's what I'm saying. So if he's banged up and he gets knocked out, then I would definitely not pick Bama.
Yeah. Definitely they got to be able to run the ball and protect. I mean, that's the two fundamentals of offense, right? And still be able to get the ball to your receivers. And I think if OU comes out, obviously we know the strong suit of the OU defense is their front. And if their front could get after them and like you say, knock them around, which Auburn did, Georgia did, and I don't, like I say, I don't expect an explosive offensive output of a game where it's like 30 in the 30s, 40s for both teams.
It's gonna be. I think it's gonna be just like the first time around. Ty was 28 of 42 for 326.
That's a lot of passes, man. I don't think you want your quarterback throwing 40-something times a game today.
You definitely don't. And they rushed it for 33. They just had the ball a lot. That's what I'm saying. They had. Because you flip over like. Team rushing for Oklahoma, they ran it 28 times. So they still ran it 5 more times in the game. It's just you had the Ty Simpson fumble, which he's good for doing that too. When he's getting harassed, he's fumbling the football. Ryan Williams had a crucial fumble in that game. So like I say, and the interception. So you combo all that, 3 turnovers. Let's see, field goal wise. 0 for 1 on field goals. So they missed a field goal as well. So like
Yeah.
it's just they didn't execute like they needed to. So the question is, have they made the corrections? Have they done the right things?
Yeah.
And going back, I guess the part that gives Bama the black eye is they just didn't look good against Georgia.
Or Auburn. Like I say, they really didn't look good against Auburn either. I mean, they got the W.
I can't use the that's a rivalry game excuse. It's just like
you can, but they were offense.
I mean, they were up 17-0 or something in that game.
Yeah, the offense just didn't look. The offense just didn't look good to me. Like I said, the offense didn't. Great.
They didn't look good. Yeah. And like I say, I think it's credit to Durkin. Like I say, Durkin did a hell of a job when he took over. You know, the defense has been good for all. That's another thing. Auburn's D has been really good all year.
Well, I think
it's just their offense has been awful.
So I think going into these playoffs for all teams and the layoff, how much does the layoff affect you? Whereas Bama played 2 weeks ago, but it's been 3 weeks since OU's played.
Right.
And it's like, did you
for sure?
Yeah. Are you rusty? Did you get lazy during that time? I mean, I don't see Brent Venables as a guy that let his guys like slack around, but still he could control the body in the sense of what they do, but the mentality of we're good, we're going to take it easy. We could, you know what I'm saying?
Where like I say, that might have been good for Bama to play just a week ago, to where they haven't had such a layoff.
Right.
It's like
and then in round 2,
layoff.
And then like last year with round 2, where all the favorites, the teams that had bye weeks all lost. Like you just don't know 3-4 weeks in between these games. How does it affect the mentality or if you're on a roll? And it's kind of like baseball when you get on a roll and then all of a sudden you have to be off a week and you're out of rhythm and then you're trying to get back in rhythm and it takes you a little longer. Whereas maybe you're down just say a 35-7 and then you get that rhythm at the end of the third quarter, but it's too late because you're chasing. So we really don't know, and that's what I'm curious to see from all the teams.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a super low score. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. Yeah. It's going to come down to, if Bama takes care of the ball and doesn't turn it over three times, I think their offense is a little bit better than Oklahoma's.
Oh, I agree.
And so I just think Bama gets the win this time around. I don't know. Yeah. That's how I feel. Obviously, I got bias for that, but I definitely don't think it's going to be a blowout in any sense of
no. But I like it.
Here's the thing: I wouldn't be at all surprised if Oklahoma does win, because I think because I think their defense is really good. So if they get some kind of magic going on offense,
a night game in Norman, as well.
I love Satania. That kid is fun to watch, like blur. So like I say, I like the Friday night, the single game standalone. You'll be able to watch that Friday night. Saturday slate is it's just so disappointing with those 2 G5 games. And then the fact that you guys are playing at freaking noon, man. Like, I mean, you're not going against
good. I think that's
not going against the NFL because your Bears are playing on Saturday night, right?
Yeah. But I think that's a good thing for the Canes if we're moving into that game.
Yeah, that's where we're going. We're going to go. I'm just going to go straight in order. Yeah, so yeah,
it's not a night.
You don't like? Yeah, true.
It's not a night game in College Station. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been seeing
that's an 11 a.m. kickoff now too.
Yeah. I've been seeing people post about, they're not used to playing in front of 100,000 people, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, it's 11 a.m. in Texas. Like, they're going to be jacked up and fired up. But
totally. My biggest thing is getting into this game. Just Canes haven't played well on the road, so like that's just one thing in general. They played good against Pitt, but their game against SMU, which was months ago. When the last time they went to Texas, they didn't fare well in that game. But I don't know. I like the Canes this week for some reason. I just feel like Miami was a team that I've kind of liked all year. I don't know how the hell you have those lulls, like you say, in game, but like in season, to where you can like lose a game to like an SMU, or you don't play as well and you lose a game to like a Louisville. This to me was a Canes team that was highly dominant. You got good quarterback play. You got great lines of scrimmage. You got everything there. So it's just like, disappointment that you lost those games, but all you wanted to do was what? Find a way to get into the dance.
Hey, and they've been in playoff mode. They've been in playoff mode since SMU.
Yeah, no, you had to, because you had to do something to get back into the ACC championship game. You had to do something to get in the good graces of the committee, all that stuff. So yeah, their last 4 games, it didn't hurt that you had to play Syracuse and Virginia Tech in those two of those, but
for sure.
And like I say, they put the mollywop on Pitt to close out the year to make a statement on it. But like I say, I've been, going back to when the Gators were getting ready to play Miami. I knew it was going to be a struggle and a problem. And what's crazy is I feel like Miami needs to get back to that early season Canes, swagger where they beat the hell out of Florida, they beat the hell out of Florida State, and then they beat Notre Dame, obviously week 1. They need to get back to that. And like I say, I don't know what happened in that against Louisville in that Friday night game. They just didn't execute, didn't play well. Louisville played really good. Turnovers, obviously, again, Carson Beck can't turn the ball over. So they just need to get back to playing like, and I guess in a sense they have gotten back to that.
Well,
and so I feel like Carson Beck and your run game is going to be enough to offset Texas A&M. I think it's going to be another tight ball game. I don't think either. I think Texas A&M does cause problems for Miami as well, but I just like the Canes in this one Saturday at 11.
I'll tell you what the difference is between the beginning of the season, middle of the season, end of the season is the beginning of the season. The Canes have just come out like a blur. They just come out, they stymie the other offense, and they were jumping up 14-0, 21-0, 17-0 on teams to start the season. Now, the end of games was a little different because I think they took the foot off the gas, and I think that's just a testament to Mario, where sometimes where he gets stuck in his ways. The beginning of the season of saying, hey, we're beating the hell out of this team. We're just going to shut it down. We're just going to run the football and try to get out of here. Whereas, like you say, those two games in the middle kind of like, hey, yeah, you can't do that. You got to keep the foot on the pedal. And ever since then, he's kind of let Dawson open it up and just let the offense just flow. And the defense has been playing, I think, great all season for the most part, outside of that first quarter of Louisville.
You can't have 4 interceptions and expect to win a ball game.
Yeah.
And when you throw 4 picks, and hell, that goes to show you again how good of a team you are. You throw 4 picks and you lose by field goal, and a tightly contested game where you actually had a chance to go down and win the game or send it to overtime. So like that's how tight that was. And then you go back to SMU turnovers in that one late, the bad call, all that. So it's like you're literally a couple plays away from being a 12-0 football team. To where, like, if you're 12, put it this way, if the Canes were 12-0 and then they went and played Duke or whoever, Virginia last week and beat the hell out of them, the narrative of Miami would be completely changed. You'd be 13-0. Y'all probably be number 1 or 2, depending on, Indiana would probably be 1 since they knocked off Ohio State, who was previously. You'd be like the number 2 team in the country, and everybody would be talking about you, tooting your horn. So, like, that's the level of where Miami's at, just in, a couple of plays here and there. So, can they play as the number 2 ranked team in the country?
But I think sometimes you need that. You need that little.
Totally, I agree.
You need that awakening. But the keys to the game offensively for Miami, can they slow down Cassius Howell and that defensive line? Can our O-line that we tout as one of the best O-lines in the country, can they slow those guys down and be bullies like they've tried to be bullies all year, and they've been bullying most teams? Can we bully them up front and get the running game going? And then and the other thing on the offense, Carson, you bring in your playoff experience, your experience from Georgia, and be able to make the right plays and not turn the ball over. If they don't turn the ball over, they're able to run the ball and slow down that ferocious Texas A&M front. I think they'll have opportunities to put the ball in the end zone. I like to say Texas A&M was one of my favorite teams to watch this season, just because I love how they play. They're fast on defense, and offensively, they do things most teams don't do because they have a good leader at quarterback and Marcel Reed, who hasn't looked the greatest, but we know it's in there because we could go back and see the game in Gainesville last year where he just hung one up on Florida, where he just looked unstoppable. And there were other games where his legs could beat you. So on defensively, hopefully Keontae Scott is back this week. I don't expect him to probably play a ton of plays because he's been out the last 4 or 5 weeks with a foot injury, I think it is.
I think he might still be out, but I know I was listening to Mario on
don't believe anything Mario says.
Cowherd the other day, and he's like, this is the most healthy they've been all season. He's like, we got everybody back except for like one guy on defense.
That's what I'm saying. Don't believe anything Mario says. Mario is cherry picks and all of that stuff. But if he could come back, that's your star. He plays that
Mhm.
star position where you could put him in any position, anywhere on the field, and he comes off of that blitz. So, I mean, they got Bryce Fitzgerald, the freshman, out there. So, how does Miami? The 110,000 will be a factor because that was part of our problem from the Florida game up into the SMU game, where the noise factor was not even noise because they really didn't play in loud environments where we were getting a lot of false starts and a lot of procedural penalties on offense. So they cut most of those out towards the latter end of the year. But can they continue that to where Brockermeyer is not doing false snaps and getting illegal procedure penalties? And can we stay ahead of the change? You got to stay ahead of the change against Texas A&M. Now, defensively, I love what the A&M offensive line has been saying. Get that guy number 4 fired up and ready to play. He doesn't
Yeah.
need much to be fired up and ready to play. But now you lit a fuse, and I'm ready to see him just wreak havoc. And that's going to be the key for the Canes defense. Can they bully that A&M offensive line, who's really good and they want to run the football? So hopefully David Blay is back in the middle. Blay, Justin Scott, and Ahmad Moten are going to be the key guys on defense to penetrate that interior and help slow down their run game, because we know Bain and Mesidor are going to do what they need to do, and then slow down those receivers for A&M, Concepcion, and I forgot the other guy's name, but
Craver.
Craver, that's it. So I think the Canes could pull it out if they just go in and just play how they've been playing the last several weeks. I think they could go in there, and I won't even call it an upset, but just get the win against A&M. But as long as they don't turn the ball over and they can run the football, I think they're going to win.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I say, Bethel Roman's the other receiver that's really good for A&M. They've got 3 pretty solid receivers. Part of me goes back to, I guess, in a sense, A&M kind of this is where it's a great thing that we don't know because they didn't get a chance to play. How do they respond? From the response was, they were down 30-3 against the shitty South Carolina team, mustered all the way back and win 31-30, find a way. If they don't win that game, they're not even in this playoff, because then they turned around 2 weeks later and got smacked by Texas, so
who's able to run the football on the edges for the most part.
And so where we haven't seen it play out yet is that was their last game. They've been, laid off to where
they got a bitter taste in their mouth.
Yeah, exactly. How hungry do they want to be? So like, where do they, but then it goes back to like, how good is this A&M team? Because we talked about the part of their SEC schedule, the teams that they got to feast on, and some of the tighter ball games like against the Auburn, against Arkansas, the 41-40 game where they probably should have lost that Notre Dame game, if the guy makes the extra point going back all the way to week 2. So I think this A&M team's really good. I do. But I question how good they really are, just because of some of the things that's kind of went their way. And that's a part of football. It just is. So, I think both teams are fairly equally matched. And I think, like I say, both give different challenges for each other. So I definitely want to see, can Marcel Reed, make magic happen? Can those receivers get loose and get open? Does that Texas A&M front get after the Miami ground game and get after Carson Beck, force him into some bad throws and make some turnovers? Yeah. Like I say, all those are going to be major key points to see, who's going to do what. And like I say, I think if Carson stays clean, I think he'll be able to run the ball. And that's the key to where I think as long as Carson doesn't have a bad performance, which I don't expect, he might throw a pick.
Dude, it's funny because I texted you this the other night, and it's how Georgia fans are the bitter X and they hate Carson. And everyone, they hear I'm a Canes fan and they're like, oh, I bet you hate Carson. Oh, Carson sucks. Carson is this. And I'm like, you clearly haven't been watching football, because he hasn't been great, but he's been efficient. He's been doing what the Canes need him to do, which is get the ball to Tony, get to the receivers in space, run the football. And he's been really efficient and haven't been turning the ball over. Against Pitt, he threw a bad pick. I think he just misread it.
I put it this way: if you were to bet $100 when he throw an interception Saturday, I'd bet he probably will throw a pick.
Probably will.
He might throw 3 touchdowns too. So like again, you got to expect a turnover as long as he doesn't have a 4 turnover performance like he did against Louisville.
Exactly.
So I think.
Well, and the other thing,
I just feel like Miami's defense is where I watched that defense against Florida and Florida State. But again, that was so far ago. But they played well down the stretch. But like,
can they control Marcel Reed?
that defense can take over a game to where it's like I want to see that suffocating style, and then like I say, I don't want to see the everything where you says it's going to happen in the game where they go on a 2 to 3 series drive where it's like a 3 and out and they're punting and they go basically like 8 minutes with like 12 yards of offense. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want that to happen because that keeps the game tight.
I think that's where those two losses finally finally went off, and Mario like, hey, let Shannon Dawson do his thing.
Do what you do, man.
Do what you do. Where you see Tony like doing this and doing that and being creative in the run game, and like you say, hopefully CJ Daniels is 100% healthy and he's back out there to be a help, and Marion is out there. So with those three as a group, and then you had a JoJo Trader finally step up in the SMU game where CJ Daniels went out. So now you're adding more weapons. And of course, you know me, the tight end's got to be involved. But like I say, I think the key to the game where Miami did get hurt a lot this season is a running quarterback where we'll believe in our back seven to say, hey, front four, go handle your business. And we're just going to stand back here and hang out. And they'll give up lanes for the running quarterbacks because Castellanos did it a little bit. I mean, they did a great job of containing him, but towards the end of the game, there were opportunities for him to get out. Jennings did the same thing. So, can they control it? Can they just get to the quarterback as quick as possible? I expect Texas A&M to come out with a quicker throw game like Louisville did to contain Mesidor and Bain. They're not going to let him just stand back there.
No.
I don't care how much they believe in their offensive line.
Yeah, no, they're gonna get after him, and I want to see that. So, like I said, I'm taking the Canes too. Give me money line, give me the 3. I'll take the Canes to cover and win outright. So, we're on agreement with that one, and I'm sure obviously we're gonna be on agreement in these next two. It's just a matter of how bad are these games going to be. The 3:30 afternoon game is the Tulane John Summerall's Florida Gator coach playing against
the
Lane Kiffin's list, Ole Miss Rebels, Charlie Weiss offense with Trinidad Chambliss. Obviously, we both think Ole Miss is going to win this ball game. The question is, can Tulane show anything? They got blasted by 35 earlier in the year. The line's like 17.5. Can Tulane make this a game? Can they make Ole Miss uncomfortable at all? Is there any kind of Ole Miss turmoil with the whole Lane Kiffin saga to where this game could get, dicey? I don't know. What do you think?
If Tulane wasn't going through a coaching situation, I think they probably could have made it closer. Just with everything going on at Ole Miss, you would think like there'd be some disarray, offensive coaches leaving, coming back. You don't know what to believe. And then, like I said, I know Tulane elevated their OC to be the head coach, but how's that dynamic between the OC and Summerall calling plays and this and that and on and on and on? We know the problem with Ole Miss's offense at times is they could turn the ball over, they stall, but like what influence does Lane have on the game? Because, Charlie Weiss Jr. was calling plays, but it still was Lane. You know what I'm saying? Lane infiltrating here and there in big situations to be like, hey, let's run this. And then, when he throws his hands up when there's a bomb going on and they're about to score a touchdown. So what influence of Lane not being there with the offense? So Ole Miss is going to win. But like you say, what's the number? That's the thing to this game.
It's weird. It's like I don't think it's going to be 45-10 like it was week 4. No. Because I know even Summerall was saying, hell, Retzloff, that was like they basically got him last minute in the deal, and plus they had like 60 transfers in there, so they were kind of working everything out. And then, you got to play one of these big boy teams. They beat Duke the week before that Ole Miss game.
Right.
And they've gotten better as the season gone on. Yeah, they had their blip at UTSA was their other loss. But then they beat some fairly good teams and obviously beating Memphis and North Texas, at the back half of the season to get into this position. It's, I feel like Tulane's going to maybe hang around for a little bit just because I don't know. Like I say, it's just going to be a little bit different without Lane on the sideline for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
It's just, I think Trinidad Chambliss, Kewan Lacey, those guys on offense, they'll eventually figure it out and get rolling and they'll win the ball game. But, I don't
like a 38-20, 40-something, 20-something type game.
Right. It could be, like I say, it could be like going into the fourth quarter, it might be like 28-20, and you're like, whoa, what is going on here? And then they tack on like 10 extra points and they win 41-20 or something like that,
Yeah.
going
I could
away.
see that. I could see that.
So like, who knows? But I don't think Tulane has enough.
Yeah.
But, the question is, can they make it interesting?
If Lane was still there and you didn't have all this turmoil and all of that, I think Ole Miss could have put up a number on them.
No, yeah, I definitely. I think it would be. I would say it would be like 45-10 again.
Yeah. But I just think with everything going on, it might be a little closer than the last time. But that doesn't mean. I think Ole Miss is going to cover the number. Like you say, it's just like you say for all these games. What kind of?
I guess.
What did you do during that break?
Yeah, I guess the good part is, do you want to see can Tulane pull the upset? And that was the question that I heard that Hicken and Prosser were asking Chris Doering this morning. As us Gator fans, you want to go ahead and just see Tulane go ahead and get axed so he can get his ass down to Gainesville. And we all were thinking like, yeah, let's go ahead. Come on, Ole Miss, go ahead and send this guy out. Bring him, get on to the real job. That's probably going to happen. But
Sponge, that's the other thing too. How much has he been back and forth? Like I say, I know the OC is the new head coach.
They had I know they had some meetings and stuff where they met with some Gator stuff. And he was in town in Gainesville until because he gave them the week off last week. Mm-hmm. Treated it like a bye week because they had finals, all that crap. And they're still student athletes. So he left on Saturday, or he left Friday, and they started game prep was last Saturday.
Yeah.
Was practice 1. So I think he was in Gainesville for like a couple of days, and then he was back in Tulane on that Friday, and they started Saturday.
That's still a lot. Like how much
they weren't practicing at that time is what it's.
But what I'm saying is still when you have basically 2 head coaches on the same staff. And does the OC take a step back and let him finish?
Sure. Yeah.
Or does he want to inject?
He's not running. He's that's the thing. He's not running the offense anyway. Summerall's calling the defense. Like he was letting that guy.
No. But I'm just saying, as a head coach, when it comes to egos, man, you've been around. You've been in coaching long enough for egos.
What I'm saying is, I feel like at this point, everything just is staying the same.
I would hope so.
And that's just because that's ultimately why they decided to do this whole deal. I mean, hell, you did see where Summerall donated I forget how much money to the head coach so they can get like an NIL package. So what a guy.
Once again, it's still egos, man. I don't care what anyone says. Like sometimes when you want to be the guy, you're not the guy yet, or you're the coach in waiting. You still do some things behind the scenes where you probably shouldn't have done, and you're like, dang, I shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like we really don't know what's going on in a lot of these buildings.
Yeah. Well, like I say, the last game, the final game, the nightcap game, which probably will lose a lot of viewers after the first quarter, I would assume.
Bear down.
The mighty Ducks playing JMU, the new Billy Napier's squad. Maybe DJ could go to JMU, get to the playoffs. Follow Billy to JMU. No. This game's going to get ugly. This is going to be like a 49-7 type game, name your score type game. James Madison isn't going to do anything. This is going to be like, didn't Oregon get the thing of playing Liberty a couple years ago, like in one of these bowl games or something too? Yeah. Like, damn, Oregon, you guys get lucky as hell playing these Ducks. Mm-hmm. No pun intended. But yeah, I think Oregon absolutely rolls. Like the line's 21. It should be 31. 41.
My only question of this game is, does Lanning let Dakarian Moore and Evan Stewart play? Because they've both been practicing. They're both coming back from injuries. It's like, do you hold them out another week, or do you give them like a play limit? Like
I guess
20 plays.
Sure. I guess you just test them out for during the rest of the week in practice here.
Well, they have been.
No, that's what I'm saying. They still got 4 more days.
Yeah. But I mean, when you have a guy like Evan Stewart who hasn't played the whole season, just about, do you let him get early in those game reps? And then, like I say, Moore has been out, I think, like 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. Do you let them get that game speed? Game speed.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. If they're feeling good, you let them play. If they're feeling good, you let them play.
That's all I got for this game.
Yeah, because I think
That's it.
they mopped the floor with him, dude. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the other playoff wise, the only other significant things playoff wise is the injury to Stephen Daly for Indiana. He's
right.
their big D tackle that makes a
Mhm.
lot of plays.
He's
How
out
does
for the
that
year.
affect Indiana going forward? And then the two UGA players getting arrested. One's a backup, but the starting one of your starting offensive linemen in Dontrell Glover. Like, how big is that? You know, they've already had issues earlier this year with the offensive line. I thought the offensive line was getting better as the year went on, more continuity. But if potentially, is he going to play? Is he going to be suspended? We
Yeah,
really don't
I
know.
was about to say, have we heard any?
I haven't heard anything. Like I say, losing Bo Walker at running back, he's like what fifth or sixth down the depth chart. He may
Yeah,
be a guy later on, but if you're losing a starting offensive lineman and you already have 2, 3 freshman offensive linemen playing, like, do you need to plug in place? Even with Bobo, is Bobo coming back at center? Is another thing. So you don't need to lose another piece to your offensive line. Like I say, they got an extra week to figure it out, but when you play offensive line, that's just something you can't figure out during practice. It's kind of a game speed thing when it comes to making blocks and combos and stuff like that.
yeah. Like I say, these later games, the 3:30 game, second half, and the night game will be battling it out with the Eagles and Commanders and the Packers and the Bears, obviously for watch rights. And this goes back into something I want to talk about real quick before we get out of here, because it's getting some traction from a lot of other national medias about bowl games and how much they suck and how dumb they are. Um, and basically moving them to the beginning of the season and making that your week 0 game. And it gives you a good matchup, and it just gives more of a legitimacy to the game. You know, obviously you move the calendar up. So then can you get in partnership with the NFL to where you roll these games into these games, you know, to where you don't have to play all 3 in one day, and basically you can have a combination of you finish off that Miami Texas A&M game and then you roll into the Washington, Philly game, or you roll into the Bears and Green Bay play at 1 or something, and then you have a night game in college football to basically marry the two together to where you're not going head to head with each other, because you're never going to win that battle, obviously. So, and obviously the game is horrible between JMU and Oregon to even like, I can't wait to see the rating numbers. It's going to dwarf that. But even if it was Miami, but here's the question: if
Both,
Miami and A&M,
both. I'm watching both.
obviously you would. But what I'm saying is, if you only had one TV, what would you do?
It's 2026, dog, or 2025, about to be 2026.
I watch it on my phone and on the screen. I watch it on
Hey,
two
man,
screens.
like I
Yeah.
say, it once
No,
again.
obviously, in my house, I got like 4 TVs going. I got the multi-view on
So
one.
let me put
I
it
got
to you
3
like this:
TVs. But
one
I'm just
team.
asking you.
No, no, no. Hold on a
What's
second.
more important? What's more important? That's all I'm asking you.
They both are, because one team is in the playoff and you want them to win, and the other team, you sent the thing earlier where potentially
Fighting
the
for their
Bears
life.
could miss the
They got
playoff with
3.
11 win.
Y'all got 3 hella games to close
That's
out the
what I'm
year.
saying. So it's like,
I didn't realize. I didn't realize you had. I knew you had Green Bay and Detroit. I didn't realize you had the Niners sandwiched in there too.
well, and then you got to think about, they lost to those guys 2 weeks ago where we potentially could have won the game.
Right.
So that's your hated rival. So I want both teams to win, and I'm watching both games.
I
So
know.
if
I'm just saying.
anyone watches this
I'm
and
just
they
saying
try
if
to
they
get
were
a
on
hold of me,
I just wanted to know. I just wanted to know if there was only one TV and
there
they were
won't
both
be
on at
one
the same
TV.
time.
I just don't understand why you have computers, you have
I know.
laptops and
I know.
phones, and
There's multiple TVs. I know.
there's like, if this is 1985,
But
that's a different story.
I'm gonna tell you right here though. This is true. Just like at my house when we have all these TVs and going and whatever. Like you really, when you got too much to watch, you can't really zone into the game. You can
Oh, I'm
watch it.
zoned in, buddy. I'm zoned in.
It's very difficult to watch
The
a good
great
game.
thing about football,
It is
there's like
very difficult.
40 it's like 40 seconds between plays.
There definitely is. There definitely is. But I'm just, as a avid watcher, and we know that we watch multiple games because we talk about it here.
Yeah.
It is when
I
you're
don't think
not
people
tuned in.
think we watch multiple games.
When you're not tuned in to the one game and you're watching multiple games, just having a good time, it is definitely more difficult to hone in. That's just my opinion. I
No,
like
I
to.
get
That's
it.
why I like. That's like when it's so. It is if it is the Gators. if it is Florida, Georgia, I can sit there and I'm tuned into that. Yeah, I got something on the side that I can casually watch, but like if it's Florida, Mississippi State, and I'm trying to watch Alabama, Georgia over here, I can't I can't tune right in.
But here's the thing: it's different when it's not two teams you love. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Florida, just let's put it like this: if Florida and whoever was playing in the college football championship, and the Jags, and just say the Texans are playing for that last playoff spot, and they're playing at the same time, you're going to find a way to pay attention to both of them.
Yeah, no,
it's
you would.
Different when it's Miami versus Texas A&M versus.
Again
at the same time as Eagles Commanders. I could care less about Eagles Commanders.
I know that's a tough, but I guess that's what I'm saying is like I totally agree. This is 2026. I will have both games on, and I will 100%. Do my damnedest to zone in. Yeah. But if you were to pull my arm and twist my arm and say, Sponge, which one are you watching? If you only had one, I'm picking the Gator game.
Hey, that's on you, buddy. That had nothing to do with me. Like I say, if they both were on, I'm watching both. I'll turn my phone off. Don't bother me. Don't text me.
Faro can answer the question if it's just one TV. He only gets one.
No, it's 2025, dog. I'm watching both.
We're on an island. We're on an island, deserted island, and you can only get three things. You get three things. You could have one drink of choice and one food item, and then you can only watch college football or NFL.
If I'm on an island,
that's it. You only get direct TV. Okay. Damn, tequila.
I'm drinking tequila for one.
That's my drink. Better hope you find some coconuts for some hydration.
Hey, I guess yeah. If you're on a deserted island, I promise you, there are going to be coconuts there.
There you go. All right. So you got your tequila.
I wouldn't know that from experience.
You got your tequila.
Yeah.
What are you eating every day then? You got your one food item.
That's tough, man. That's tough. I don't know. I can't answer that one. And then you say direct. I'm flipping.
You got direct. You only got direct. You only got direct TV.
I'm hitting the back button. This ain't 1985 where I got to watch the satellite dish move from G5 to T2. Niggas, I ain't got to do all of that.
Oh, you only get ESPN, so you only get college football games or Monday Night Football. That's it. You got to choose. That's the tough one. If you had to choose one channel, CBS, ABC.
I'm choosing Stream East.
Didn't they shut that down?
No,
I'm not saying anything.
They did one, but not all of them. But before we get out of here, I got to do my recap. Army Navy, hell of a game. Army Navy was a hell of a game. I thought Army was going to win it because Horvat was turning the ball over. My God, I don't know if you saw any of the highlights.
He didn't look very good.
He didn't. I mean, all he did was run the ball, and he threw a pick before the half to make it. Army was able to go up 13-7, and then second half, he almost gave it away twice. He had one on a fourth down where he was reaching the ball and the dude popped it out. He caught it in the air and he still was able to get it like 4th and inches. Actually, that was the one to put the game away. But the big play that could have turned the whole thing was on 3rd and goal from the 1. The middle linebacker came in and he punched the ball out. And the D lineman for Army started to pick it up. And Teska ripped the ball out. And Heinrich, the third tailback, was able to jump on.
Heidenreich's their best dude offensively.
He was the only guy catching the ball the whole game, and then he had a big catch for the touchdown to take the lead. And it was truly a really good game to watch, man. It was a fun one because, like I say, I think Army controlled majority of the game, and they thought they were going to win. And they have the best that's a uni game at this point. I think that is one of the best uni games we have.
Definitely is they definitely come with some good gear for sure. Yeah, like I say,
Nike hooks it up.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. Like I say, it's a great tradition, something that we don't have in college football anymore. So it's probably the last lone tradition that maybe not get touched. Maybe that one won't get touched.
I mean, it will be touched because if everyone's talking about moving the calendar up, the only thing you could do is block out. What I would do if we move the calendar up, we could still start bowl games or the playoffs that weekend, but only have one game that night. Still let Army Navy be, a standalone thing.
Totally.
And I hope they do that.
Again,
I hope they don't
move
change that too
the
much.
calendar up just so that we can start our bowl game. Like we should have already had round 1. Like we've been sitting around.
I agree.
The end of the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, all those championship weeks. So yeah, move it up and let's get it going.
Yeah. And the last thing I have before we go is, hey man, Hawaii's kicker is Kansei Matsuwa or whatever, Japanese kicker. He's they call him the Tokyo Toe. Second All-American for Hawaii all time. My man went 37 for 37 extra points and 25 for 26 field goals. He was a walk-on at one point, and he took the job, and he became All-American. The story's pretty cool. I mean, if people are still watching this, you go check that out. It's one of those things where you can truly do anything you want in America, but
baby, I like
like I say, the guy started off as a walk-on at some small school in Ohio, wanted to continue kicking, went to Hawaii, and now he's an All-American, the second in Hawaii history.
There you go. Just real quick before we get out of here too. 8 minutes ago, Miles Graham. This means more to me than no words, baby.
He's
alligator. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Like I said, they probably said, Miles, get out here and give us some positivity after all these guys are hitting the portal, man.
Yeah.
So so ultimately, we'll see what happens with the roster transfer portals and roster retentions as all teams move on, because the portal will be opening up pretty soon. And Faro's lost his internet, so we're done, baby. Tune in next week. Like, subscribe. We'll see who wins these games. Break it all down next week. Until then, holla at your boy.